Hey, how's it going? I'm recording this today because I've wanted to start making a a series. Not necessarily a series, because then that requires me to actually give a fuck. But this is more so just a thing I'm gonna be doing when I have nothing else to do and there's something I want to talk about. And I really wanted to name it My Thoughts Exactly because that's just how I feel about it. But I don't know. You can call it a podcast. You can call it whatever you want, I guess. But it really just depends on whatever way you want to look at it. But anyway, I'm walking to the gas station this morning. I'm going to get coffee. I'm going to get cigarettes. I'm going to do that whole fucking thing that I normally fucking do. And I'm kind of happy because the last time that I've been walking through, the spot that I gotta walk, to get there, there was a possum corpse just fucking chilling there for, frankly, weeks. You know what I mean? It was there for a fucking minute. It was there for a really long time. But they finally moved it, so that's sweet. I had made a Snapchat or whatever, put it on my story, of me having to walk past the thing, and I was just just in case you guys weren't aware, this is why I want a car, you know what I mean? Shit like that. But this particular episode is going to be about Neil deGrasse Tyson, alright? And by the way, if you end up hearing cars passing by, all this, that, and whatever, just try to view it as a nice little ambiance for your podcast or something. Think of it that way. I don't know. Fuck you. Anyway, basically the point that I'm making here is Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? So the UFO, now they're calling it UAPs, which at first I kind of was like, oh yeah, that makes more sense, and that's how I would rather it be, because UFO has such a stigma on it that you can't really get it back, unfortunately. But I guess that's just how it's supposed to be. But anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson with the UFO UAP shit has been really bothering me, because it really shows you how scientists act. And if it wasn't already obvious, most of them are just kind of full of shit. Unless you're talking about anything that has nothing to do with universe shit, generally scientists know what the fuck they're doing. When it comes to consciousness, they don't really know what the fuck's going on with that. It's kind of a whole thing. It's kind of difficult to figure out what's going on with that whole thing. The possum's bones are still here. But, so basically, they know a bit, but they don't know a lot, alright? And when we're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, with this one particular, discussion about UFOs and shit, he actively does not know anything about it, okay? And look, there's nothing wrong with being uneducated about a topic, alright? There's nothing wrong with it. You can be uneducated about a topic all you want. The whole point about, if you're uneducated about something, it's probably because you haven't looked into it, and that's fine. There's a lot of people that'll sit there and shit on you for not knowing things, but it's okay. However, that's for a regular person. You know what I mean? If we're talking about, we're talking about a scientist, right? So, this guy's whole fucking thing is about how he's supposed to understand things, he's supposed to be educated on a lot of different topics, this, that, and whatever. He's an astrophysicist, right? Yeah, so he's supposed to know shit, right? Now, his particular astrophysicist job title does not put him into a realm where he would understand things about jet fighters, all right? About their data and telemetry that these things can pick up with these fucking ungodly sensors. I heard something crazy the other day, right? So it's about the Commander Fravor sighting, the Tic Tac UFO. If you Google that, you'll see it. It's that video that everybody's seen. So basically, I saw a post on Reddit from this guy who said that he has flown fighter pilots and fighter jets and things like that. And he was basically saying on, I think they were flying 18s, FA-18s, I think. I'm pretty sure, at least. Damn, that's a whole mush strap. Goddamn. Anyway, saw a strap just run over in the fucking road. But, yeah, fucking, the guy said he flew fighter pilots, or fighter jets, excuse me, a lot, and he was like, bro, the crazy thing about these jets nowadays is that they can all be connected to each other. So they have a page on their heads up called SA, and I guess basically all of those sensors from multiple different planes are all looking generally in the same direction. Holy shit, that guy's bike kicked fucking ass. That bitch is loud as fuck. We love to see it anyway. Yeah, basically, it just, the sensors on it are so good that you can have like 4 or 5 of your guys around you at one time, right? That thing sounds like a fucking late model. That was a fucking motorcycle. Anyway, so basically they can just all read around and talk to each other, right? And the fun part about that, at least in particular, is that during the video with Commander Fravor, he was like, everybody look at your SA. That SA page showed not only what he was seeing, but what other people around him were seeing. I guess it makes like a conclusive like mesh, like a mesh view where you can see everything. Mesh in terms of the jets around each other. So if you need to see wherever your buddy's quadrant is, whatever section that he's listed off to, I guess you can see his particular screen, and you can see what he's seeing, and the sensors that are running off of that, what, etc., etc. So these things are fucking complicated, you know what I mean? Like, they're insane. They have a lot of things going on with it, not just, what has been described to people. I have to go into this gas station, so I'm going to pause. Alright, this should pick up right where I left it, I guess. I have no idea. I've never used this fucking app on my phone, but it seems to kick ass. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, these things are super fucking complicated, right? And Joe Rogan had Neil deGrasse Tyson on again for like, I don't know, the 3rd time or something like that. And look, outside of his opinions on whatever the fuck I think, that I kind of like hold near and dear and close, Fuck. I'm just trying to get the cigarette lit. Fuck. I think I finally fucking got the thing. And now I don't have anywhere to fucking hold this stupid fucking drink. So now that's a thing. But anyway, it's not anything outside of like what he says or whatever. Like, it's just this one specific opinion, but it also makes you realize how most scientists act, right? They'll fucking do this shit, right? Where they'll keep acting like they know something about the topic, right? So this starts with Neil, all right? Neil in this interview is getting asked by Joe Rogan. He's like, hey, man, you know, do you know shit about this UFO shit? You know, whatever. And Neil was like, oh, yeah, I've heard about it. You know, everybody's heard about it. You know, whatever, etc., etc. Right? So he implies that he knows something about the shit. Right? He starts off the conversation with Joe asking him, you've heard about this, right? He's like, yeah, I've heard about it. Didn't know a fucking thing about it. Like, bro, first of all, we have to start here, right? Where the motherfucker doesn't realize that, like, fighter jets, right, have people, multiple different people working on them at the same time, right? It's not just the pilot's job to calibrate sensors. This, that, and whatever. There are people who have that as a job. That is their job, right? Calibrating sensors, making sure that the plane is ready for you to get in, and then you go get in it. So I would assume that with these motherfuckers who are engineers would generally understand to make sure that something isn't, you know, lagging to the point where it's going to show you a false reading like that, right? So with this particular one, Commander Fravor is asked to go look to see what it is, because from their landing ship, they are seeing it on radar. They're seeing multiple on radar as well. It's not just one, it's not just two, it's not just three. It was apparently a lot of them. And at this point, they generally understand that, like, you know, they're being followed. Like, they've had enough time seeing these things that these things, like, figure out their outposts, they figure out where they're going to be. These things generally seem to have intelligence. They follow, they find, they keep poking and prodding and messing and, you know, flying near them and doing all this shit. You know, it would be completely different if these things were not coherent, but they are, you know. They seem to have minds of their own. They seem to have plans and objectives and things that they're doing, right? They follow the military. Like, they're following military jets. They're following military boats, you know, like, these things are weird, right? So they ask him to go look. That's the only reason why he went out there and even saw the fucking things, is because they said, hey, go tell us what the fuck that is real quick, if you don't mind. We'd like to know. He went out there, he saw them, he recorded that video, it was there, you know, etc., etc. With Neil, he acts like he knows about it. Joe's like, hey, well, what do you think? And this motherfucker, right, did like a 14-minute, like, wraparound of this story, right, where he was talking about, I guess one of his friends in, like, the late 90s, or early 90s, whatever, had, he brought up Planet X, and he was like, look, you know how when you look at the gravitational pull of Neptune, it doesn't make sense? And they're like, oh yeah, there's another planet out there, whatever. He was like, well, my friend in, like, 1993, 1991, somewhere in there, had taken all of the data from all of these observatory telescopes that he could get his hands on and compared them all together and was like, that reading is still here, though. You know, it's still a problem, and this is still a thing, and whatever, you know, etc., etc. And he basically said that his friend figured out which outlier telescope it was, and then took it out of the equation, and then everything was normal. So then he was like, oh, there's no Planet X, you know, because of this one telescope, it had glitched, you know, this, that, or whatever. And he was like, look, with telescopes, whatever. Anything that gets changed out gets written down. Or if a part needed to be, like that, they keep down a notebook of what the fuck is going on, this, that, and whatever. And they try to make sure that it's, a book that's kept up with and, it's current and whatever, you get it. Generally like how scientists are supposed to do. So with that one outlier that they found, they said, oh, well, they changed something out recently on it. I can't remember exactly what he said. But that was basically what his explanation was for that. And he was like, well, my friend did it and, it makes sense and this, that, and whatever. But that also neglects the answer, which is tons and tons and tons of universities are still trying to look for a Planet X, and people in general are doing funded scientific research trying to find it. So it's like if this was a conclusive ending, then it would have been done. It would have been done and over with by now. Nobody would still be looking, and et cetera, you know what I mean? So basically he used that, and this takes him 12 minutes. Like, I swear to God, it takes him a hot fucking minute to get this across or whatever, and get to the actual point of what he was asked. Because Joe basically just asked him, hey, what about these UFOs and shit, man? Have you seen this one? He was like, yeah, I've seen it. And then went into this diatribe. So remember that aspect of it, that part of it. But when he's sitting there saying all that shit, right? It gets back around to the original point, finally. After 10, 15, 20 minutes of him fucking talking. And he was like, it could have just been a sensor glitching. And that was basically it. That was his only answer, is that, oh, well, a sensor could glitch, or this or that could happen, or et cetera, et cetera. And I was just sitting there watching this video, realizing, like, what he had mentioned, the like the explanation that he gave isn't necessarily my problem. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what he's trying to say there, and I get it, and it makes sense to a degree. And that's normally where you get. Most of the time, shit makes sense to a degree. All right? So, by that I mean, when you realize, like, when you watch that clip, and it goes further back with him, obviously, but when you watch that clip, you're like, oh, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know anything more than the next guy. The only thing that his viewpoint about it is that, oh, it could have been a sensor glitching. And this completely negated, sorry, I had to set you down, I'm tying my shoe, but, it completely negated whether or not the pilots had seen it. The way that he described everything was that if nobody had physically seen it with their eyes, right? And as we know, that's not true. They saw them with their eyes. All of these, sightings from the Navy and military, these pilots saw them with their eyes and then got them on radar. So this is a straw man argument on his end. It's not a glitch if you have a pilot there to say that it wasn't a glitch, you see. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else you can say about that part, Like, I could expand on that if I had to, but I don't really have to. You see, because it's conclusive. That the way that the event is described is that it is a conclusive, factual, verifiable event. All right? The only thing that isn't verifiable about it is that you cannot scientifically reproduce it. Okay, why can't you? Because it has to be a manned vehicle that is not ours, you see. And if they do end up figuring out or saying that these are like drones from China or Russia or wherever, that is complete fucking bullshit, and we all have to be watching out for that, because Neil tried to at one point kind of say that, which okay, imagine it, right? I have to get close. Imagine this, right? Imagine the best government in the world, the best military in the world, the best intelligent agencies in the world, or intelligence agencies in the world, can all somehow miss that. Can miss the whole, since the fucking 40s, that Russia and fucking China had these fucking things, because this has been going on for a hot fucking minute. This isn't the last 3 years, you know what I mean? And that's another thing that people really have to understand, is that really in my viewpoint, the way that this whole thing is going down, I don't see any actual disclosure. Like, a lot of people, if you follow this, if you follow the alien UFO UAP thing, they're making it seem as they are going to release all of this fucking information, and that, you know, they're basically going to say that aliens are real, or something to that effect, right? And look, at the end of the day, it's a government thing. This is a government thing. I don't know exactly what the fuck is going on with it. I think, honestly, it may be to test to see how open people are to the possibility of hearing about it. It's more of a mind test than it is, like, maybe it's not even the government. It could just be a collective consciousness testing thing, where they're trying to see the limits and bounds of what people will fucking agree with, you know, even though it's true. You know, this is like a test to see, oh, will you sit there and go to the quote-unquote crazy side, because we sit there and tell you it's true. So it could be, now that I think about it like that, it could be just to see how many people turn over to the idea, rather than, you know, actually giving somebody legitimate fucking evidence, you know, etc. Because now all we've got is the government just being like, well, yeah, we don't know what they are. And it's like, well, y'all have been saying that for the past, you know, long fucking time. So it's like, you're really not changing anything. Everything is still the same. And that's why I'm more concerned, and honestly kind of awestruck and baffled by how I would say that Neil deGrasse Tyson, in terms of the public and our general society, a lot of people know him. He's like the most famous scientist that you can name currently. You know, it used to be Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan picked him. Now it's this guy, you know. You can think of Bill Nye. That's it, though. You know, but why haven't these guys, when being confronted with evidence that the government is sitting there being like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck that is, why is that still not good enough for them, for these scientists? Because, I mean, they're acting like that this is just some nonsensical, foolish bullshit, like that Canadian astronaut, the one that's he has the world record for longest period in one go living in space. It's like 600 and something fucking days or something like that. He was up there for 2 years, like consistently, continuously. So yeah, but he even had a opinion about it, where he was like, if people think these are aliens, that this is an alien thing, then they're foolish and ignorant, is basically what the fuck are they then? Because look, bro, if you're sitting here acting like, to me, that makes me think that he has seen crazier shit. You know, he's seen crazier used shit that we have that would make him think, oh, okay, this is bullshit. You know, that, or you're afraid to have your actual opinion be out there in the public viewpoint because you're a fucking astronaut, and I would assume that would, you know, put you in a bad light, because it did for Edgar Mitchell. Edgar Mitchell was all about UFOs and aliens. He said he saw UFOs when he was going to the fucking moon. Like, this man has been around. He's said that he's seen a lot of things. You know, I believe him in that regard. You know, I believe the guy, because he was sitting there saying, yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him. Dude, I remember when me and my friend Alan went through the Hillary Clinton WikiLeaks leak. Bro, there was an email in there from Edgar Mitchell. Well, not exactly from Edgar Mitchell, but it was from his agent, where he was basically asking through his agent to talk to Hillary Clinton about UFOs. And he was like, look, I want to talk to her. I want to have a sit down with her. You know, can we get this to happen? Can we, you know, yada, yada, yada. He was trying to get an interview with Hillary Clinton to talk about UFOs to her. You know, there are people within this shit that really believe this shit. And that's my question, is, what? Does this other fucking Canadian astronaut think that, you know, Edgar Mitchell was a fucking loon? Or what's the deal there? Because I want these people to go on record and say this shit. Like, if I had an opportunity to interview Neil deGrasse Tyson, the first thing that I would say is, look, don't dance around the question, all right? Look, if you, with your scientific viewpoint, you are a scientist. Scientifically, can you explain what that thing is? And then if he goes, well, no, then I'd be like, okay, let's think about this. And now this is the kicker. This is why I really can't stand these motherfuckers, because I've been listening to, like, I followed Neil deGrasse Tyson closely outside of Cosmos and things like that. Like, I've watched his, when he was on the board deciding whether or not Pluto deserved to be a planet still. Like, I've watched shit about him. I've read things about him. I generally understand a decent bit about the things he fucking says, right? So here's one where nobody ever brings it up, and it really drives me fucking crazy because it's fucking stupid. But where they use the whole, oh, well, the universe could be infinite, so that would mean that there's infinite possibilities. Like, I remember this shit on, he did it on Cosmos as well, because he's used this to explain things to people before, right? Just in general, just in, like, interviews and things like that. But he said this shit on Cosmos, I believe, if I remember fucking right. But he was like, yeah, the infinite possibilities. That means that you could be on the other side of the universe, you yourself, the same person, but just doing something different. You know, and this, that, and whatever. And it's like, bro, okay, so if you're saying that kind of shit, then how do you say that shit, but then when aliens, it's not a thing that you've ever said, number one, or number two, now this just it doesn't fit your fancy. It doesn't fit your viewpoint because you don't want it to, you know? I want him to sit down in front of somebody and answer them, because in reality, all he does is just kind of, you know, jump around the question. He swerves in and out through the pocket like a fucking boxer. He's avoiding the uppercut, but then he's laying down. Oh, it's a glitch. That's your only explanation, is that it's a glitch? That these are glitches? They're seeing them with their eyes, cousin. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And Joe's kind of a fucking pussy. I ain't gonna lie to you. Joe Rogan's a bitch, because for real, he has all the control in the fucking world when it comes to interviewing people. You know, everybody respects his interviewing prowess. You know, he's like a Graham Bensinger type, but better than Graham, to be honest with you. Graham is great, but Joe Rogan knows how to conversate. And that's what I don't understand, is that, you know, in that situation and in that environment, why didn't you continue to ask him questions about it? Like, why'd you leave it to, you know, that's just it? Like, what you said for that was it. What you asked him for that was it. There was no follow-up? How's there no follow-up, man? Like, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand. Because it just wouldn't have ended there for me. Because when these dumbasses say this shit, you know, you can say that, oh yeah, you know, I'm a scientist, all you fucking want. But look, I'm not an idiot. You know, I generally can think my own thoughts, right? And try to rationalize them. And sometimes, you know, we're not all perfect. We can't all rationalize perfectly every single fucking time. You know, sometimes somebody's going to have a different opinion than you, or, you know, this, that, or whatever, etc., right? But with this was just a man who says that he is scientific, thinks with logic, this, that, and whatever, pretty much saying, yeah, no, that's bullshit, because it doesn't fit my opinion. It doesn't fit my opinion. Because nobody decided, hey, let's keep asking this guy questions, let's keep, you know, let's keep this going, let's ask him more stuff, let's figure out more things, you know, doing that whole fucking thing. Like, none of that was done, you know, none of it. And it really makes you realize that scientists are full of crap. Like, this guy didn't know a fucking single thing about this topic. Doesn't know a fucking single thing about fighter pilots or fighter jets or anything of the sort like that. Doesn't know a fucking thing about it. But yet sat there for 15 minutes. Didn't even really answer Joe's question at all. You know, none of it. But just was like, yeah, it's a glitch, man. Honestly, I just think it's a glitch. You know, and Joe tried to mention, oh, well, they did see it with their eyes. And then the important part to Neil deGrasse was, did they see it go from 80,000 feet to just above the water in under a second? Did they observe it at 80,000 feet? And then Joe was like, well, no, because that's not how high they fly, you know? Like, shit like that. Like, generally, that's what I would have said. I would have been like, they wouldn't have been up that high, but no. They were asked to go out there and look and see what the fuck was out there, and they did. You know? And they did. You know what I'm saying? But that Neil don't know shit about that. Neil doesn't know a fucking thing about that. It just was some random thing brought up to him. Now, this is another reason why I'm bringing up Neil, because he's been really loud about the UFO topic since Baker Mayfield. So he's the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And he was in Texas. Yeah. Yes, he was in Texas. And saw what he said was a UFO, alright? And he was like, dude, look, all he was doing on Twitter was just saying, oh yeah, you know, I think I saw one with me and my wife. It looked fucking crazy. We saw it drop out of the sky. It was big. It was bright. You know, it was a whole fucking thing. He was like, I think I saw one. And then, you know, I think he generally asked, like, did other people see it who lived in this area, and other people in that area who had nothing to do with following him? Like, you could go and look at their tweets and see if they were following him, and people that don't follow him were like, yeah, we saw it too. Yeah, we saw it too. You know, it was a thing, you know. But there's a sports commentary hoster, sports host. I don't know how else to describe it. But Colin Cowherd, he hates Baker Mayfield, does not like him, personally has a vendetta against him, brought Neil deGrasse Tyson onto his show to talk about Baker Mayfield's UFO story and UFO tweet, right? And then Neil basically just goes on there and says, oh yeah, it could have been this, which is fair. Look, when scientists say stuff like that, when they're like, it could have been this, or it could be that, or whatever, that's fine. I don't care about that. Like, they can have their opinions all they want, and me personally, I can't side with either fucking side. Because it's a complicated thing. If somebody says that they saw a UFO, then either you believe them or you don't. And when Neil is sitting there being like, oh yeah, I can think of a couple of things that would maybe look like that, or this, that, or whatever, I was listening to that, being like, yes, this is a valid response to have. But then when you watch the rest of it, it's literally just Neil deGrasse Tyson saying there's never been HD footage of UFOs ever. Why is it always a shitty video, no clarity, no quality, no this, that, or whatever. You can't see what's actually happening, this, that, or whatever. He just basically goes on the same diatribe that every other motherfucker who doesn't know a goddamn thing about UFOs says. Then we keep going, With Colin Cowherd, it was a personal vendetta. Like, Neil deGrasse does not know this, I don't think. He was just like, hey, we're gonna fucking talk about this guy, and his UFO story, and can you come on and talk to us about it? And he was like, oh yeah, sure. He doesn't know that Colin fucking hates this guy. So when this fucking interview comes out, and I watch it, it's pretty fucking scathing. Like, they're basically pretty much calling this guy a fucking moron. And anybody who believes in UFOs is a fucking moron, because supposedly, oh yeah, there's never been, HD footage or good pictures or this, that, or whatever. Meanwhile, the government is literally at the same time releasing all of these videos that are from fucking fighter jets that are pretty fucking clear to me. Fucking radar video. If you saw some guy in Iraq getting bombed on that same fucking camera with the same you would have no problem with it. But since it's this thing that we're supposed to be like trying to focus on, we want to see everything involved with it. That's kind of the problem with these events, is that they're very fucking quick. Number one, if you've ever seen a UFO, it's insane how fast everything fucking happens, but it feels like an eternity. Like how I used to have these dreams, right? And these dreams would be, I would be walking around, outside with my friends. Like, I was younger. These are like old nightmares. But, hold on. So my old nightmares were me and my friend would just be walking through the neighborhood like how we always did, this, that, or whatever. And while I'm walking around with him, we end up having to like cross the street. And in these dreams, I'm always tired. Absolutely fucking tired. Like, gassed. Like, I can't move. So I start getting halfway, like, I start walking into the road. Like, I'm crossing the road, right, in a neighborhood. And then I just get ungodly fucking tired. And then the dreams always just ended up with, I couldn't get across the road fast enough, because I end up like when fucking Patrick was dying inside of fucking Sandy's goddamn, globe, little firmament thing. I don't know what the hell to call it. Her little treehouse dome. And he fucking is crawling on the ground, sweaty, and fucking, he needs water, he's dying, he's a fucking sea urchin, and then he just fucking is on his hands and knees and puts his fists up in the air, and then he said, what kind of place is this? Like, basically, the point that I'm trying to make here is that when you see these fucking things, it's kind of like that, where like a dream, the point of the dream is that you die, right? But the way that you die is dependent on whatever the fuck. But it's in moments like that where life slows down. You know? It's like our fight or flight gets turned on. And when you see those fucking things, that's what it's like. That's what it's like. You start, everything slows down. You're like, holy fucking shit, you know, what just happened? What kind of place is this? But it's like a near-death experience, almost. Like, everything slows down, you know? You get hit with that slow motion, like, if The Rock had to fucking, you know, skydive off the side of a building and then Superman punch a fucking dude on the ground level to kill him and end the movie. It's like that, you know? It really is. It's otherworldly shit when it's going on. Like, the one that I saw was just fucking insane. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. And you know what's fucked up about it is that I kind of do forget some of it. Sometimes I like think back to it being like, was that even fucking real? Was it real? Because what I saw was just, it was like interdimensional almost. Like, I don't know what the fuck it was. It was like trying to like morph its color to what the sky was doing at night. So like, you know how when you look at the horizon because of light pollution, you can see how the sky is kind of gray, but then when you look straight up, it's black. It was like sitting in the medium between those two. So like how the horizon goes gray to dark gray to black, you know? And it was sitting in like the dark gray to black area. So it was like a little bit more silver than the sky was that night. But then also, like, it was trying to blend into the sky, and it couldn't do it. It just didn't know how to do it right or something. I don't know what the fucking deal was, but it couldn't do it, right? So, once we get past that part, now we can go to the next part, which is, this thing looked like, it was almost shaped like an egg, right? But it was a little bit more like square than that. Like, it had shelves on the side of the thing. Like, there was clearly a point where it was like molding over the top with like a little bit of roundness, but then when you got to the sides of the vehicle, whatever the fuck it is, it was like square. And then it went back to ending square and then going and being like ovalish on the bottom. So ovalish on the top, straight up sides, like sides on that thing. And then underneath was, you know, eggish, like ovalish. So, but it's shaped like an egg all the way around. It has a fat ass and a fucking small front, right? So I'm sitting here looking at this thing, because I was just walking around. I was just walking, and then I looked up, and I saw that fucking thing. I looked to my right, above the tree line. There was like an open lot where nobody had ever built a house, and I'm just standing in front of it, and I happen to see that fucking thing as I'm walking down the sidewalk. And I look up at it, and I was like, what the fuck is that? You know? Because I couldn't really tell at first, and then I was like, wait, that's a fucking UFO. I'm sitting here looking at this thing, and like, there wasn't a lot of definition on it, right? So it's a physical object that's there, right? I'm sitting there looking at it, you know? And it's hovering there. There's no lights on it. I don't hear anything. And I'm looking at it, and it feels like it's looking at me. Like, it was like a physical spiritual experience where it felt like it was looking at me. It felt like it knew that I was looking at it. So I was sitting there in my brain being like, do you know that I'm looking at you right now? Like, are we looking at each other? And then it took off. Like, when I was thinking that shit in my brain, it was like, oh shit, somebody's here, fucking run. And then it took off. And when it took off, I could see like the light coming off of it. So the color that it was trying to portray to me, like, it looked like it was trying to cloak itself there to just like hover and do something. I don't know what the fuck it was doing. It was chilling. It seemed like it was just vibing, you know. But then, you know, I watched it fucking take, and when I say take off, it was gone. It went forward, and then it like literally in under half a second, I couldn't see it anymore. It was gone. It just went straight forward. It fucking left, you know? And I was like, holy shit. What the fuck, you know? And I'm sitting there looking. I'm looking around at the sky. I'm looking behind me. I'm looking to my right. I'm looking to my left. I'm looking forward. I'm trying to see if it came back. Right? Or if it's around somewhere. And I just didn't, you know? I'm trying to think that this is like not a UFO. You know, because when you see one, you're not immediately trying to be like, oh yeah, that was a UFO. Oh yeah, I saw that, you know, oh yeah, whatever. I'm not trying to immediately think that this is a fucking UFO or aliens or any of that shit. So I'm standing around for like probably over a minute, just looking around, just being like, what the fuck was that? I'm like dumbfounded. Like, this was the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. I've seen other UFOs, but not like that, where that thing looked like it was close, you know? I don't know what the fuck it was doing, you know, etc. But then it was like, meanwhile, remember how I said there was no noise with this thing, there was no lights with this thing. It was clearly trying to hide. It seemed like it was hiding, you know. And then, bro, after that thing, it took off. After I saw the light coming off of it, like the gray and the black, and it was a light trail because it took off so fucking fast. The light trail disappears. I'm standing around looking. I'm being like, what the fuck? You know, I can't believe that this just happened. And then this ungodly fucking noise. Like, I'll never forget it. Because I can't recreate the noise. I've never heard the noise anywhere else. I've tried to look for, like, I've even gone on, like, YouTube being like, sci-fi noises, being like, is there one that I can pull up and download and then play it to somebody and be like, this is what it sounded like? None of that. Like, there's no noise that ever sounded like this noise, period. But it, like, the noise came back at me. So from where it took off and went towards, the noise came from. So then that's what made me realize, okay, I wasn't just like hallucinating. You know? I wasn't just tripping. Because I felt it in my feet. Like, whatever this thing was, when it took off that fucking fast, I guess the atmosphere, the air and the wind and all that shit around it didn't know what to do. But when it came back, it was like a wong, 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 and I felt it in my feet. But it was like faster than that. It was like a wong, wong, wong. I can't make the noise. I just can't. I don't know how else to describe it. But it was a crazy fucking noise. I felt it in my feet. You know, it was so loud that I was like, oh my God. You know, how else? Somebody had to have heard that noise and wondered what that was, and I know the cause. Because I happen to see it, you know. And that, you know, like, there's nothing that you can, because I was there and I saw it. If a scientist wanted to sit me down and ask me stuff about, there's no way. I can't prove one way or the other that I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that was. But the only thing that I can quantify to it was that it's something that I've never seen before. and it clearly had like a conscious connection. Like it knew I was looking at it. It's like it heard my thoughts. Because if not, then that was just really convenient, you know, how it took off like that. Because I was sitting there being like, do you see me? You know? Can you see me looking at you right now? And then immediately, bam, it was gone. And I was like, whoa, okay. You know, and I really thought I could have just been hallucinating. You know, and I kept looking around being like, am I crazy? Am I fucking insane? Did this really just happen? You know, whatever. And then, fuck yeah, it did. Because then that noise came back. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? You know, what was that? I've never experienced something like that since. We've seen UFOs out here. I saw one not too long ago. We thought they were satellites. Because they kind of look like that. But they were, like, disappearing. They were, like, going across where, like, a satellite would go. But then it disappeared, right? And then they would pop back up, like, super far away from where they were originally. And then that was happening within, like, I don't know, 3 seconds. And then one of them in particular was really crazy because, honestly, we thought those could have been satellites, because satellites can do that. But we watched one come over the top of the house, and this thing keeps going above the tree line. And we couldn't see it anymore, so we were like, oh, it kept going on its path, and, you know, that's why. But then, hell no, it turned, it, like, did a whole fucking, like, about face, and started coming back over the top of us again. So this thing turned around, you know? It turned the fuck around. And then was there, you know? And then it disappeared. And we were like, oh, fuck. You know, that's a UFO. Whatever the fuck that is. I don't know if that's aliens, but the one that I saw that closely to me, that was aliens, man. Like, that was... whatever the fuck that was. That's the only thing that I can think of. Like, that's the only thing that makes fucking sense. Is that was, you know, aliens on that one. The one that I'm talking about, the first story, not the second one. You know. And, yeah, it's just it's fucking crazy when you think about that kind of crap. When it happens to you, and then you see these fucking loons on fucking, you know, Fox News or you know, you hear Neil deGrasse Tyson, or, you know, these fucking dumbasses. When you've had these experiences, you really start looking at everything real fucking different. And you start wondering, like, is this guy... does he not want to say anything because he's in fear of his, you know, political life, and not only that, but his, you know, his career, because that's his career, you know? I don't know, but all I know is that these guys aren't scientists to me. Because look, if I'm a scientist, I look at that pretty objectively, right? Because Occam's razor does not work with something like that, you know, because there's no way. And another thing that I really just want to emphasize to people, if you happen to listen to this, I have no idea how long this is. I haven't been paying attention. About an hour. So, Jesus, if you listen for this long and listen to this whole thing, because I'm gonna post this, you know, and I do want this to become my thing, because I'm really sick and tired of just doing everything else, and you know, all the communities that I was a part of, number one, I don't want to be involved with anymore, and number two, I feel like this is a better choice for me to do, because I want it to be, I want something to do that doesn't drive me insane. You know? Like, I don't want to be driven insane just by proxy of having to be around certain individuals that are literally insane, you know? And I'm not going to go into any more depth than that. I've already done it. If you want to find out more about that, just go look around on the comments of some of my videos. You'll find them, you know, etc. This is the right move for me, personally. And also, I like talking about things. I like being able to get my fucking opinion out there, because not everybody has the same opinions about things as me. And that's not to be like, oh, I know a lot of shit. It's like, I don't, you know? In reality, I don't. There's a lot of fucking things that I would like to know more about and have a lot more educated of an opinion. Even about some of this UFO stuff, sometimes I don't feel right talking about it, because I could know a lot more. I could probably know about everything to know about it, but I have not taken that amount of time out of my day to do that. But I do know enough. I've paid attention enough. I've read enough books to know, you know, and I've had enough experiences to know that, like, when these guys are doing this shit, not only is it not scientific, but this is what I was trying to get to before I got off topic. But there's a video that I want y'all to watch, and I'll link it in the description, because I feel like it's pretty fucking useful. But Vsauce had made a video called Our Narrow Slice, I think. I'm pretty sure. But basically, he just puts into perspective time. Like, time for us. Like, how long has it been since we have been technologically advanced, you know, like figuring out, like, consciousness building within the human being, you know, things like that. And the video basically was showing, like, a bunch of different things that we didn't know a goddamn thing about until we got faced with a problem, and then we had to figure it out, and this, that, and whatever. But at the end of this video, it's a great video, and if you watch it, it really does, like, put into perspective how fucking ignorant a lot of these fucking scientists are about this kind of shit, and that they're the only point that they have, and what the only reason that they're really mentioning this kind of shit, and their opinions just being so absurdly fucking wrong, even to what they've been describing for the past, I don't know, 20, 40, 50 fucking years of science. But, you know, for the 6 million years that we were just sitting there running around collecting fucking rocks, you know, and eating fucking apples, there could have been someone somewhere further and further away than we could fucking imagine, because this is another way that they use their fucking examples so I can use it, but have been so technologically advanced, so much longer than us, that they've figured out a way to get here, and not only get here, but look at us and watch us, you know. And then you've got UFO stories where, yeah, people are getting abducted, and people are seeing cattle mutilated, clearly surgically mutilated, in farms where these farmers are reporting their cattle being abducted by fucking UFOs all the time. Like, there's shit like that all the time, all around the world. Shit like that constantly. Sometimes they're fucking liars, you know. Sometimes people fucking lie. But the real ones that are obvious, you know, like, and this fucking ATIP shit with the government, they know which ones are bullshit and which ones aren't, too. Put that into perspective now. You know, there has been so much time for somebody else to do something. Like, forget 6 million years. You could even say 1 billion fucking years. This shit has been around for so fucking long that who's to say that shit is impossible? Because scientists have listed out their own fucking ways of determining what a super powerful alien society would look like. They have a couple of different levels, you know, harnessing the power of your sun, making a Dyson sphere, you know, harnessing the power of the black hole of a fucking, you know, like, they've got all of these sci-fi listings out there as if all of that is possible, because guess what? Theoretically, it is. Okay? Theoretically, you can do all that crap, you know? So if we're theoretically thinking these types of things as terms of classification of alien civilizations or extraterrestrial civilizations, then who's to say these guys ain't showing the fuck up here? Who's to say that shit? If you're saying that these fucking assholes can harness the power of their fucking their local galaxy's fucking black hole, then who's to say they can't fly a little vehicle out here? You know? And another point to that is that the way that we try to look for aliens is the way we try to look for ourselves. And if you're wanting to look for yourself, you're probably not going to find a lot. You know, I really enjoy SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. You know, they serve their purpose, and they clearly do things, you know. But yeah, you're literally looking for yourself with your own outdated shit, being like, oh, we'll find somebody one of these days. And it's like, no, you won't. Not doing that. No, you won't. And when these things are showing up here, you really have to start thinking about the possibility of, oh, maybe they're already here. Because there's a lot of credible, valuable people who have put their fucking names on the line saying that, yes, this is what I think, or this is not a craft from this fucking world that I've ever seen, you know, etc., etc. And that goes on for since really the dawn of time. There's cave drawings of UFOs, so it's like you really have to start. If you're like me, right, where you're generally skeptical about things that you see, you know, for the most part, and you like having your own research and looking at it yourself and making your own determination rather than it being a fucking article headline telling you what you should think, then go fucking watch those videos, because they're fucking insane. And number two, go watch the interviews with these fucking pilots and listen to them talk about it, because why would these dudes with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of flying these fucking planes be lying to you about something so fucking stupid? You know? Why would they put their careers on the line like that? 25, 30 years doing that kind of shit. Why would they do that? You know? And fucking like 9 years combined of being inside of a jet, just to lie to you, just to be like, oh yeah, you know, that's funny, like, that's not happening. So, but Neil deGrasse Tyson's a retard. We've known that for a good period of time now, and I guess this ends this first thing for this, because I actually enjoyed this. I can do this every weekend if I want to. But yeah, y'all take it easy. Think about some things that I've said here, if you actually listen to it thoroughly. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. All right. Talk to y'all later.